Mike, 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 Mike. Mike, 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 Mike. People start unfollowing me today because of my stupidity.
Let's see. Okay, if I go
I need to take my
into
drugs. Wait, it's still a bit early. Never mind. Wait. I'll wait till it goes off because otherwise I'm gonna confuse myself. Yum yum. Alabama. Lord, I'm coming home to you. So how'd you sleep? How'd you sleep, babe?
I slept well. I am good.
Good, 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 good.
How was your sleep, honey?
I slept very well. I was
I'm glad. I'm
dead to
glad.
the world. And then I woke up and was like, I have to pee. I'm gonna go pee. Came back. I was like, okay, time to play. Lovely. Set up the thing then. Now, hopefully everything goes a little bit smoother today because everything has had a time to rest. I'm tempted to move all of my Palworld files to my NVMe storage
Oh?
just to make it faster to load, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
K2LYPU.
You. Oh my god, stinky.
So I am doing some breeding today still, though.
Yes, I'll be doing some breeding as well. I'm still trying to get a Dibblix that's got some good
See if I
good
can
things.
check my options. Maybe I can do something with my graphics to make things less kooky. Maybe change the building draw distance to like 600 maybe.
Sweet home Alabama.
I like camera shake being on, but if it winds up becoming an issue,
When the fuck did this get destroyed?
I don't know. Everything was like crazy last night on Electro Base.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, chill. That one's shit. Shit. Interesting. I want to see that.
I don't get why that one says it's not placed on the ground when it's
Shit.
quite clearly on the ground.
This bitch in here.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Terrible. Actually, I'm just gonna keep them at the
yeah,
end
I
because
am.
terrible, terrible, terrible.
Literally wanted to update these. Oh, hello, Brando.
Brando, good morning. Not great. Not great. This is the one I want to check out. What is nimble? 10% increase the movement speed. Okay. And then farming work suitability, which would. Okay. Nice. Good job. Do me a favor. Do me a favor. I want to see something. Hold on. Throw a plushie at me. I want to see because I'm testing things. Plushies. Brando. Spud. And it says you haven't thrown any plushies yet. So if you throw one now,
I saw that you joined the Discord yesterday, Brando. Thank you for that. You now get to see the
that was
alerts when
easy.
we go live.
Okay. See. Omnia farmhand. I mean, it'd be fine if farming works suitably. If it was farming, if it needed farming, which it doesn't. Okay. So I'm gonna go pack those in, make some more cake. How does one throw plushie? It's a command. It's a redeem. It's a redeem daily throw plushie.
Yeah, you redeemed the first. It's also it should be like right next to the first.
Okay. There's that, and then I do plushies, rando spots.
Ooh.
Oh, damn. What happened? I'm trying to fix things. It just did I type it in wrong?
Level armor. Hang on, what? Technology points. Where are the tools?
It's
Oh,
okay.
got all.
There you go. What did I spell it wrong before?
The multi-cutter.
Maybe it just needed time to update in the system. I
Yes, you.
redid the command, so it was good. It was good. It was good sleeps.
Unfortunately, it looks like it's reset like the count, but that's okay. It wasn't counting anyway. I was saying
I
then.
was saying nan, yeah. I have a 3-star to Ignis now. Get your butt in there.
Yes,
You're not. There you go.
we had good sleeps. Good sleeps.
There was good sleeps. Okay. So here's one Chillet Ignis. There's no Chillet Ignises. Where did they go? Hello.
Mm.
What the
How was
fuck?
your sleep or your day? How you doing, Rando?
Get in there.
Castile is what I need. And computers
Huh? Yeah.
for the plasma multicoder. Yeah. Um, oh, hello. Hello, Killer Liza pancakes, please. Oh my god.
What's wrong with Eliza pancakes?
What did Eliza pancakes do? Uh,
Fridge.
bunch of
Good
pumpkin.
morning, Sims. How you
Hello,
doing?
hello. How you doing, Eliza? Kill?
Okay, so I did like kind of maybe. I'm saying I found out why it was saying Nan. Okay, but I'm not gonna say that's 100% why it was saying Nan because that's just this is my speculation. Okay, it was telling me that it was saying Nan because if it already had your username in the store account, but it wasn't registering, like it was kind of sort of labeled as something else. I didn't know how to update it, I guess, because of the way the command was written. Are you kidding me? I thought I finally got all of them and I just found another fucking I found another fucking shrine.
In the desert?
No.
No?
I
Oh.
underscore am underscore
I woke up very
Simslord
late
said I
this
woke
morning,
up
so
very
you
late this
ended
morning, so
before I
I
woke
ended
up.
before I woke up now.
You know
That's
what?
okay, Sim.
You know what?
Get wrecked.
I I knew that you were going to wake up really early and I did it on purpose. Yep. I was like, fuck, I don't want Sims to see that
This one.
I've said some really weird things. I did. I had to say some really weird shit yesterday. I was like, ugh.
We were getting loopy.
We were getting really loopy. But also I had to say things like sussy things like I'm writing Sims, which is like I was like, hate that, yuck. And then I was like, And then I was like, I was like, I have to switch to Jesse sometimes. And Tristan's like, why? And I'm like, well, this is gonna sound really bad,
Heartblossom
but
underscore
Sims is
34
really
said
hot.
I'll leave smiley face emoji people now.
I said, I said, Sims is really hot. Oh my God. Because I was in the desert and trying to use this, which is a freaking firebird.
I want to see
I
what these
started
are.
dying of heat.
We want.
Yes, in this very, very specific context. Why am I going this way? Why am I doing this?
Fit that in my base. Ba-da-da.
Which map I got unlocked yesterday? Yes, this map is huge. Oops.
You don't think anything you've said is weird compared to what it. Oh, what did you say, Brando?
Oh yeah, I need to know.
We need the
Not where I wanted
tea.
to go, but okay.
Where is the cryo crusher?
We gave our computers a much needed break last night.
Oh yeah,
Oh
the
yeah, that's right.
serotonin. Yeah, yeah.
We were just all over the place, dude. Okay, they ate all of the food in here, which is fine. They can do that.
Yeah, that just is an upgrade. How it requires plasteel and
I'm
more
concerned
crystals.
by lack of onion. I'm wondering if it would be better if I just like
USD pear potato.
reduced it to just 4, because I feel like they're like seriously neglecting the onions. And it might very well just be because like they're working on the other crops and then just because the onions are just last. They get those last. I don't know.
Oh no. Let me just make a bunch of these corrosive solvents. Oh no!
No.
Uh,
Let's start by making cake.
that person got banned in your chat and then banned in mine.
Sounds good work. Putting you to work, Sims. Well, it's
It's
because like I used to have the command to be best viewers on to get them banned that way, but they don't even say that anymore.
yeah, they've updated to AI viewers because
Why would I want that?
AI is uh the in word right now.
So today's goal is we're gonna go around and we're gonna see all these little things here, these little boss guys, with the question marks, and then the boss guys that just don't have the word defeated or the check mark. See, this is another check mark, which means I defeated him. The ones that don't have a check mark and the ones that have not been discovered. Those are what we're gonna work on today. At the very least, unlocking what the question marks are, being like, what the fuck is that? If it's out of our level, we're not gonna do it, obviously. But um I found another freaking shrine.
No, they're really hidden. Like they like to just
It's okay.
blend
It's
in with
okay.
gray black
It's
background.
okay. It's okay. Sims, let's go. Sims has been a very good bird.
Hey, how you doing today, Sims and Brando and everyone? How's everyone doing?
I'm good, thanks. Well, you didn't ask me. You didn't
I,
say my name. Never mind. He doesn't care
I
about
asked
me.
you
He
how your
doesn't care
sleep
about
was
me.
before.
He hates me. He hates me. Yes, you're a bird. You're a firebird.
Go and fight.
Jesse's a dragon. I don't even know if you were here last night to see Jesse, but I've been going back and forth between both of you.
I think your stock would.
You kept me nice and warm in the snowy region yesterday. That was nice, thanks. Why do I keep leaving? Away.
Okay, these probably have. Yeah. Okay,
Thanks
there's
for
an
those
egg.
5 PAL fragments. You know what I can also do is work on some of the quests. So, like if there's downtime and stuff like that, work on some of the quests.
Yeah, I've picked up a bunch of side quests that we haven't
I
even
haven't, yeah,
touched.
I haven't even touched them. I know that some of the rewards are going to be like really bad. Just because, like, um,
Yeah, they're so early
yeah, that's
level
early on.
ones.
And I'll tell you, I'm not gonna complain. Just see the quivern. And I'm glad you got to be a green quivern because, like, I want to breed a quivern, but a normal, like, white quivern. I like the white ones. It's because I'm bird racist. I only like white birds.
We should do some dungeons. That's a good way to get like Palladium fragments
Mm,
instead of relying on someone to actually work on the crusher.
I don't know. Pangullet's been very, very good about it.
Yeah, that's nice. My crusher
Sorry,
just.
Ping King, not Pangullet.
I have my giant sea dragon.
He's like, it's my only
Just works on
job.
crusher.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah, he doesn't need to move. He just gets into like an area of my base and just turns around. That's all he does.
When bird races be speciesist? No. No. Specific the bird races. Races? I don't know. Hold on. Hold on. Let me get this. Let me get my brain together. It's not bird racist. It's not about the species, it's about the color.
Ooh,
What?
got another mutated egg.
To be fair, I'd be okay if it was pink too. Oh, really? That's awesome. It's because you're using that fancy cake.
Yeah.
Octavia. Why did my arigato thing did not say? Why didn't I say arigato? Arigato. You know, whatever. I don't get to thank you. I'll say arigato myself. Arigato. Octavia. Hello.
Hello, Octavia. It's nice to see you.
Aw,
Yeah, that would be bird racism. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
against all the birds.
Just like, oh, I just tried to put a cake in the egg incubator. I was like, why isn't this working? Trying to incubate my cake.
You cool in the fridge.
You're babysitting a drunk girlfriend. Aw. You should be like, wow, it's 11 a.m. in Australia. Can't believe you're drunk.
Holy crap!
What?
This special cake is good at making mutated eggs. I just got another one.
Nice. I don't want that
No.
because I'm trying to breed very specific things, and yours keeps giving you random shit, which is cool for you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm happy to get like a mix of mutated and non-mutated eggs
Maybe I should just
that
be like
good stat.
not doing these things. Knocking on heaven's door. Door. It's hard to help because she lives in the United States and I'm Canada. You know, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. Long distance relationships make things a little bit hard.
I've never
If-
been in a long distance relationship. I've been
Oh
in
yeah,
Australia my whole life.
no. You just developed this accent from TV.
Yeah. Specifically Beverly Hills Hillbillies.
Oh, that's lovely. Knocking on heaven's door.
But everyone is like, you worked at bars, you know how to handle this. It's true. You do. My way of handling it would be like, yeah, you're fine. No, you're not gonna die. Yes, I love you. Oh, damn it, my music's gonna stop. Alexa, stop.
No.
Alright, I gotta restart the jam now.
Did it break the jam fully?
I don't know. Did you, what were you? I guess there isn't.
I can hear the alarm
Oh,
playing. I don't think it broke the jam.
we'll see. I'm gonna swap it to, hate this. Connect to a device, this computer.
To be fair, like handling drunk people, a lot of it's just
Do you hear it? What do you hear?
yes, I hear dun,
Okay, okay, sounds
dun,
good.
dun, 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 dun.
Perfect, perfect.
Yeah, handling drunk people tends to be just like making sure
Yes, I
they
love you.
stay
No, I'm
hydrated,
not mad at you. Yeah.
hydrated, having something to eat, and then managing
No, you're not
their
stupid.
emotions.
I don't think you're dumb.
Filter by
And that
alarm.
she's Canadian enough for you. That's great. That's hilarious. Is she from Michigan? That could help. If she's Canadian enough. If she's at least from Michigan, that's Canadian enough. Especially if it's northern Michigan and they call themselves a U. I heard that people in northern Michigan call themselves Ubers. Oh, excuse me. Rude. Try.
What did I just? Oh, I picked up all the ore from my mine. Okay. No wonder I can't move anymore.
I thought that said Ryuma defeated a barista. I was like, what?
Oh no, the cafe workers.
Wait, I need to make sure Spotify's being picked up on my Discord. Yeah, there we go. I think I'll use
Also
that.
get am I a good girl? And I'm like, yes, you're a good. Oh, they're that type of drunk. That's the cute drunk. It's good they're not an aggressive drunk.
Hmm.
That can be scary. Let me help with
Stay in the ball, ya bitch.
I need to check if I got a better lumbering pal. Memorists like decent at lumbering, but like
Oh, I have too much fucking wood. Minus like hardwood, but
sort by lumbering.
different.
Memorist Christ is better than a regular memorist?
There we go. I don't think that there's a difference between the two. I think this it's just a type difference.
I mean because I mean, it's got 5 rather than 4 lumbering, so which is nice. Oh, and it also doesn't have
Ooh, I can make futuristic set things. So I can officially make the material that I want the workshop to be, but I'm not going to do that right now because I don't know where I want to build it yet. And I don't want just a bunch of random polymer sitting around.
assignment. Yeah, login site 2. Why are you assigning it? Oh, you're just working on it. I don't know why you're assigned yourself to the production line too.
Oh, that one died. My bad.
Just you're asleep. Oh, she's asleep now, so I'm able to do other stuff that she's waking. Freedom for a small amount of time.
Okay, I need one more cinema.
Envelope locks. Oh, babysitter, vampiric. What are those?
I'm going around and kind of like catching stuff in the areas that I'm doing bosses. So I've got like 4 Cinemots now, as opposed to the 0 that I had before. Oh,
Okay.
my bad. The bitch just died.
Oh,
What if I don't like?
vampiric is the rainbow insomniac.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Absorbs a portion of damage dealt to restore health. Does not sleep at night. While a base increases egg production speed by 30% and incubation speed by 30% for pals assigned to a breeding farm. Okay, cool. I'm going to put you in my base. You can, in fact, replace Dismamorous because you're
Oop. Killed the muffly.
actually
My bad.
really fucking good power generating pal as well. But replace Dismamorous and
Nice.
go log.
5. I need 2 more of those. There's one.
You can just be free and do whatever. Giant dragon that's just in my face. I want to catch a shroomer. That's what I want to do. So then,
I have a Shroomer knocked.
oh, nice. Do they produce mushrooms? For some
I don't
reason.
know. I realize now. No idea. I did not check. Hold on.
No.
I wonder if it'll tell me on my Palpedia. Yeah, it'll probably tell me on my Palpedia. Hold on.
You should. Yeah, you can see their passives.
Think. Can be ridden while at a base. Its mysterious spores slow the rate at which sanity values of allies at the base decrease by 10%. Possible drops, venom gland, mysterious mushrooms, but I don't think that's I think the drops is like from being killed.
Yeah, the drops are just from being killed. Yeah. Okay, so who knows? It might be the regular shroomer then, because I know the Noct sometimes loses like its farming because it would be like poison mushrooms, but
Oh,
there's no.
true.
Yeah. Get some watering.
Okay, got 5 mufflies. That's nice. Where the fuck is the shrine, dude? Oh, right there. I'm just blind, don't mind me. Who's on the other side of this pillar?
It's okay. You can be blind all you want, my love.
I love being blind.
Okay, they don't need to be. He's so cute.
Oh.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna go see if I can't catch or not catch, maybe catch the boss Elfedrin thing.
Let
There it is.
me.
To get a weak pal or something from the base. Maybe that will be enough. No.
Let's just put this.
Get in the ball, you bitch.
I wouldn't know what the other cakes do. Like the healthy cake, does that just remove?
I don't know. I assume it just increases their health.
Possibly. I want to see if it removes a bad thing.
Oh, that'd be cool. Serenity. I have obtained 20 PAL bounty tokens. All right,
Nice.
let's see. What do we have?
Okay, so
Let's
bottom
say
stomach.
let's get 5 points so we can
Ooh.
get the Hexlite Quartz Mine, even though technically we don't have.
Um,
I just want to try and get as many of the ancient technologies as we can
Fireplace.
that we might need. Like this right here could be real helpful.
I want serious, yeah. Okay, okay.
Oh, it says requires a far greater supply of electricity than the crude oil extractor. Oh, fuck. That's gonna be nuts, dude.
Yeah, and that's gonna be the one I have to get for this base if I want to stay on this base.
I'm gonna wind up moving, over here. Oh,
Come together
yeah,
right
right now. Me. Let's go. We can, uh, we'll go to the desolate church and we'll walk over to whatever this is and try and get, some pals that are between there. I'm trying to catch some pals too.
Just doing some
Although
research stuff
actually, what
for
I
a base.
should do is I want to test some abilities of certain pals to see, like, how good a fighter are you? Do I want you on a fighting team? You know? Apparently, I'm going to the workshop. So I want to
I need.
stay. I'm gonna put Jessie away for now. I'll put her here, and I'm gonna take this leaf in, see how I feel.
Oh, okay. I'll go to get that.
Basically, I need lower level pals if I'm trying to catch lower level pals. Because Sims and Ryuma, they just kill everything they see. And I bet my hamster would too, so.
That unfortunately is a problem. Yes. I finally got a Civilix with a work speed increase
Oh, did you? Nice.
thing. So yeah, I swapped that out.
There's a
It's been
Malpaca running away. Come back. Go get it. Okay, you know what? You didn't have to kill it.
I want. What do I want? What do I want to craft? I've got my hardwood. There's
I'm
something I need
too
with hardwood.
strong. You know what I could do, actually? I could go back and get my weak bow. So I have lots of arrows.
Alpha wave generator.
I have enough night wings already. I'm not worried about that.
Take your morning meds.
No.
No, you. Have you taken your morning meds?
I will after I catch this Malpaca. I'm trying to chase it down.
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, if I hit it with a ball?
Wave generator. Nice.
What the hell just hit me? Yeah, he's giving me head pats. Rude.
Okay.
Ooh, that one
No.
had artisan.
She also redeemed head pets for me. That bastard. No, she's getting up. Ah! Oh, that actually feels
You're
nice.
welcome. The big issue I'm having with getting up with that is every single time I fucking get up, my headset disconnects.
It does, and I can hear myself whining. You're also a elf. Gotta get. I mean, bottomless stomach is fine. They can eat more. Ooh, who you finding egg? Welcome to hometown California.
Oh.
No, she's losing her mind.
Okay, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna get my crappy bow because I'm in this area. Mainly, I think that my pals can take care of anything that I want to kill, but I'm not trying to kill things. I guess I can go back and check to see how many dog coins I have too. Because if I have some extra dog coins, I can get another electric book for Puffy.
Oh, yeah. I did not have any wool. I don't.
Are you kidding me?
Let me go.
That hates me.
Janet Ranch. Anyone got any interesting plans for today? I know Octavia's is going to be basically caring for drunk people. And Sims is going to become a war criminal. Or something.
I do have some dog coins. Let me get.
Dog Glean. Going to get ice cream. Ooh. 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 Ice cream. Lunch.
I am gonna literally buy 3 electric books. You know what? Give me a second. I'm getting under my desk. I'm getting under my desk. It's only if it's small.
I'm sorry, honey.
It's not you. It's yeah, it's.
Yeah.
Okay. So I plugged my headset into where my controller was plugged in, and I plugged my controller in behind my computer.
Okay. Okay. Hopefully that one's more stable and.
Well, I'm gonna have to disconnect my controller a lot. Now let's see if I can't get my music back. There we go. All right, that is already feels more stable.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
Go to the workshop, fix this bow. Actually, we should get the arrows too, huh?
Yeah. What is this mutated egg?
Arrows?
Oh,
What?
a Hell Zephyr locks with. Let's see what's got. Immortality.
Your interesting thing is you're gonna get ice cream. Oh, that sounds nice.
Lavish hospitality, philanthropist, bottomless stomach. Okay, is that better? I mean, yeah, just definitely a better
Oh yeah, I love using
base
repair
power.
benches backwards.
Um,
My compound bow is just too huh. Oh, you know, maybe I can make this crossbow. It's more powerful than my regular bow by like a lot, but it's way less powerful than the compound bow. And I can use regular arrows with it.
oh, that's nice. Less of a pain to craft.
Yeah. Well, like I'm not worried about. It's less of a than what?
I mean, the reinforced arrows take other resources.
Well, I don't mind having the reinforced arrows. I just don't want to use them when I'm not trying to kill something.
But yes,
The thing is,
yes.
I'm tearing through fucking my 300 reinforced arrows. It takes me so long to craft because, but I don't, and I wind up killing things. So I'm not even getting what I want with it.
Oh no.
I'm making 5,000 arrows. Oh my god. Who did I pick up? Oh my god, I pick up my mammoth rest. I'm so sorry. My bad.
Let me update 15.
And now it's fucking nighttime. Can we go to bed, babe?
Yes. I was just gonna ask if. Oh.
Sleeping with my verdant that I fucking hate.
Two I'm missing.
I have beef with the verdants, just all of them.
That's fine.
It's adorable, trust me, it's fine, but like, I'm angry at them because they keep trying to kill me.
No matter where I sleep, I'm sleeping with the dragon.
Yep, true.
It just covers everything. I wish I could assign beds, and then I'd give it a bed on the roof.
Oh, that'd be so cute. I'm gonna have 5,000 arrows. Do I need that many? No. No. No, I don't. Knocking on heaven's door.
I_am_Simsword
Don't do
says
that
you are
sound.
now breathing
No, no,
manually.
no, 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 no. I got done that yesterday. Please don't do that. It takes me out for like fucking a solid 3 minutes. God damn it. Tristan, tell me a story.
So now I've got to come up with a story. How dare you, Sims? I don't know stories. I'm not good at
I'm trying to think about my hamster.
the hamster.
Yeah, what about the hamster? So, what was the last time that your hamster killed?
What was the last thing you hamster?
Actually, you know, I feel like I could take on Anubis at this point.
Oh yeah, we probably could take on Anubis.
Mhm.
I still haven't seen a wild Anubis. I've only seen that boss.
Yeah, same.
Seed machine gun to mine. Yeah. Oh, actually, that's pretty decent. How about seed machine gun?
Knocking on heaven's door. Knocking on heaven's door. It's an epic crossbow too. Oh my god. I just need to like, hold on. Can I just like, this needs to not be, no.
Yep, I got all the relaxer sources. Knocking on, knocking on.
Anytime I look at chat, that's what I see at the bottom, so I'm not.
Oh yeah, you'll run into the issue of if you
I
look at
keep
chat.
reading it.
It is. I always hate whenever that happens to me, but for some reason, it's hit or miss if I see it.
Mm.
It doesn't always. If you get me.
Boo.
Ooh.
Okay, I'm gonna put a majority of these arrows away because I really don't need 3,000 on me. I gotta figure out this crossbow is any good. Hold on, let's see how fast the reload is. Oh, it's fine. Yeah, I don't worry about that. That's not too bad. Especially since I'm not really worried about whatever I'm trying to kill me. I burped. Yeah, don't forget you can subscribe free with your Prime sub. I say it, some are already subscribed, so. Whoever else is in the chat, if you guys have Prime subs, just saying. Ooh, right. I also wanted to get 3 of these books for
When I
Puffy.
literally just patched go in my party.
Okay. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
I've been working on Puffy so much. Where is... My question is... You pay for your sub here too? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. Where is Puffy's here, yeah? Yeah. I'm actually kind
We
of...
appreciate just simply spending time here
Yeah.
is enough. Thank you very much. Or
Hey, don't make it seem like you like him. He's rude. I'm kidding.
fuck you.
Okay, inventory. I'm curious about something. So if I'm gonna put this in Puffy. He is
Also,
he is currently level 5 electric. So I'm gonna put this on him. He's currently level 6 electric. He's currently level 7 electric. He's currently level 8 electric. So I have a question now.
Oh, you wanted to see if I have any books?
No, 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 no. I want to see if I wind up later wanting a different puffy. So I get another alpha puffy or something like that. It doesn't necessarily be lucky, but I want to try and breed for the best puffy ever. Right?
Yeah.
If I make this puffy. Oh shit, hold on. I need to do this first. How do I...
Okay. We now actually have a good Sibelici. Oh, Sibelix.
Okay, so if I did this, and then I did...
Mom.
Oh, because that's in my party, so maybe that won't work. Hold on. I'm trying to see basically if I condensed Puffy into another Puffy Pal, would they get his 8 electric generation? Or would it?
I don't think so, but that's a good thing to check.
No, it would not. Okay.
I want to actually.
So yeah,
No, the code in the fantasy.
electricity is how much Puffy does. I'm gonna pull the univolt back just because I don't. Does it have a plus? Oh. Oh. And Puffy also increases generating electricity work suitability level for all the base pals by 1, so that's why Univolt's doing 4.
Mm-hmm. And that will increase as you
See,
get like higher star
I just
levels.
leveled his electricity generation by... Dude, I can actually see it going up now. Puffy is cracked. Like this... Hold on.
I want to
Did this
go
have any
into
storage in it? It did, not 100%, but that's crazy.
this region.
No. Oh my god. Guys, love you guys, but you guys really need to stop giving me shitty chillets. Stop giving me shitty babies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jessie did indeed get a power, yeah.
Yes, she did. She got a Quivern. I put her in storage because she's very strong. No, it's not that she's very strong. It's that, like, with what I'm trying to do right now, it's more useful for me to have
Oh,
sunshine.
welcome in, Whipper.
Welcome in, Whipper.
But also,
Why don't I see Whipper?
why? Just redeem so
Oh,
far.
I see.
Making me hydrate that
Yeah.
bastard.
Hi, Whipper. What was that? What was that? Elite PAL detector? What?
Good
What
morning.
was that achievement I just got?
Palliations.
Oh, right.
That's the 20th one that
I
just finished.
see. I see. Okay. Yeah, Jessie is here. This is Jessie.
Actually, I should check the Palpedia.
She's gonna go harvest. She's working. She's working the farm.
My favorite trash buddies, a trash couple, I should say.
Aw, thanks.
We are doing excellent. We just woke up, so um,
I'm gonna put her back in storage. Should I? Yeah, I'll put her back in storage.
we're just getting into the swing of things. Broncherry habitat.
I'm gonna go around and I'm
Oh,
going to
yeah.
catch a bunch of... Oh, shoot. What's
All
this
of
in my
it
pocket?
here.
Scaramouche, Scaramouche, where you do the go.
We did have good
Oh,
sleeps.
yes, I died.
We had a solid 8 hours, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people can't say we don't sleep enough. We just stream a lot.
We probably do need to do like stretches and like stand up more often because
Yeah, all right.
yeah.
All right. I'm going to...
Varicose veins.
Let's
Or blood
see.
clots.
Viewer rewards
The varicose veins
for...
too much. Stretches and healthy stuff is overrated.
Okay, I'm gonna add a
True.
new custom reward. It is called um make Aiko stand or let's see. Stand and stretch. Okay. So this is a stand and stretch. This is gonna cost 500. And it's gonna be redeemable. Cooldown redeems. The cooldown is going to be once an hour. There you go. And it's pink, so you'll be able to see it easier.
Nice.
There you go. New redeem. I can stand and stretch every hour if you guys let me, or if you guys redeem it. Okay. Now I'm gonna go try and kill things. And catch things, I mean.
I'm catching some broncherries.
No, I was getting ready to say I think I've already got all my bronze cherries, but I don't think I have actually.
I'm wanting to move on to like breeding broncherries. I want to get a 4-star
Fair
broncherry.
enough.
Because the egg picking up also counts for your breeding eggs. Because technically you're picking them up. How it can turn eggs into alpha eggs.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. My strategy and healthy stuff is overrated. Oh, shit.
I've had my jacket inside out the whole morning. I'm gonna fix that now.
Big
That is a mood.
mood. Okay, King Paka.
I do need to catch more of the outfit.
I am going to actually name this King Paka. But the person who I'm going to name it after is not going to redeem it.
I know who you're gonna do it after.
Yeah.
It's his
I'm going to name it
favorite.
after our nephew. Assuming I can keep it alive.
King Packer is his favorite
Yeah.
apparel.
I'm not even going to use it. I just want to have it. I might use it. We'll see. Maybe 2 more hits.
I would say it wouldn't even be wrong of you.
Thank you for the follow, Cole. I appreciate it. Welcome in. He's heavyweight. Of course he is.
He loves seeing your people.
Nice.
Yesterday I spent more than half the day not knowing I was life does that. Does indeed do that. Oh, thank you for the follow cove as well.
Aw.
You're so sweet.
Yes, very much.
Mm. The supply drop is what I want to go for.
These are all fairly low level, so I can pretty much catch them without. I can almost pretty much catch them guaranteed with the low level ones. I said almost.
I don't want to ride you. Oh, is this just a press F, not a hold F? Oh, it
There
is.
we go. Ooh, that rush hour
Oh,
had artisan. Nice.
more fruit oil. Nice.
There's a reason I haven't been really selling pals this go around.
You're welcome. Yeah, welcome in. Welcome in.
Been condensing the ones I'm breeding, but not really selling. Okay,
Hopefully. I mean,
just that Mamarest maybe?
I feel like the
Whee!
front cherries I caught had decent enough stats.
Yeah, maybe.
Not decent enough skills, so I'm gonna swap them out as breeding pals.
How's heavy you
Minis-
got? Hold on, wait, where am I? Hey, hey, Jolt Hog. Jolt Hog. Jolt Hog, come back.
Yo, Doug, come back. You can blame it on me.
There you go. And I caught a Jolt Hog. Okay, I'm gonna go talk to this ecological researcher and then the other guy down there.
So that can just sort of go away.
2 more species. I can talk to the guy again.
Yes, I want to swap
I've
the
apparently caught
bruncheries out.
98 species.
Oh, nice. Cherry should be back here. Yeah. Heavyweight Serenity. I mean, it's gonna be my party, so looking for party skills is actually a good idea. Serenity seems nice. Yeah.
Okay, I have 5 points. What do I want to use?
And then, yeah, top of the year. Both of them are gonna go to the breeding farm. And then I did not realize how slow the brunch area was. Maybe they're just taking their time because they're just doing a leisurely walk before they get up to the breeding farm. They have no task really that's urgent. There's no cake up there or anything. Forward. Mats.
Okay.
Dun, 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 bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, dun, 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 dun.
Stamina, maybe? I don't think I've had issues with stamina.
Yeah, I haven't had issues with personal stamina since early because I leveled it up to by 10 to 200.
Good in health. Let's go over here. We'll get the mammoth. Memorist.
Yeah, let's get expedition rewards and then
Catch these guys first.
condense anything that I have.
Two. Oops. Oops. My bad. We even caught a single goose. I don't even know.
That's what I need to do. I need to go. Can you buy the Dazzy Clouds, or do you have to go and kill them?
I don't know where you would be able to buy them if you could buy them, but you can get them from killing them.
I'm gonna go check the town in the volcano because for some reason the boss is electricity.
Not you. I just struggling. I lagged.
Lag, it's delicious. Yum, yum, yum. I honestly, yeah. If we found the electricity area, it probably would have Dazzy Clouds.
Okay, I got the Gumos. Gumos is done. Paparai is done. Getting more Cativas. I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life.
Is it town maybe?
When you're with me. Oh,
Oh, this is gonna be a lot of ground pounds though.
lag.
Hmm?
Head lag.
Oh no. Probably because I'm teleporting across the map.
Is she?
Together.
Alright, I'm gonna bring that up to a gigasphere.
Dazzy Cloud. This one didn't mention. Nope.
At least I know I want to use this crossbow when it comes to taming things. Or catching pals and stuff, low level pals.
Oh, that's good.
When I get the last equipment slot unlocked, I'll be able to put this crossbow in it.
Oh yes, and you'll be able to keep that
The
around
compound bow up
forever.
too.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually a smart idea.
Smart person, just saying.
You are the smartest. I wish I had brain.
Have at least half a brain.
Outside of university
I'm
time,
like,
my
you went to
brain.
Kool-Aid. Tristan got paid to say that. I knew it. I knew it.
Where's my money?
We didn't get paid much.
I get paid cents. I'm rich.
Stay in the ball. There we go. What was it? How many minutes have I got?
Pew.
I don't know what the fuck are you. Oh, he's
I did
aggressive.
boy.
I forgot everything's aggressive, dude. I need to put everything on defensive because, like, this is just. There we go.
Dragon breath. Oh, it might be out of range. Oh no, it's in range. And I accidentally killed it.
I miss you. I haven't even got an Azure yet. I'm just trying to catch some low level things while I try and take care of the pals out here. Caught that. Where am I at?
Get hit. I heard it. Get hit. Was it you?
Okay, the Grintail I think is gonna be next. So while I run to this, I'll catch whatever's out here. You feeling your heart beating, and I'm wondering what you're doing. Wondering
Oh,
if it's me you see. Are you fighting down here or is somebody else fighting these mammoths?
I am in the Azeroth boss area. Not catching Azeroth Alpha, but it's catching Azeroths. I need one more. I may as well catch the boss, I guess.
Damn it.
Miss me because I miss you, baby, and I don't wanna miss a thing. Okay, that killed it.
Damn it.
Entire time.
You finna keep killing them?
Wee.
I have too many cows. Okay. I don't wanna miss one
Yeah, head is not at the weak
kiss.
spot.
I just wanna be with you, right here with you. Just like. Oh, I haven't got a hookah cheese yet.
I got it. The rest
Nice,
of
nice.
time. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wanna close my eyes. I don't wanna fall
Oh, I
asleep
got off.
'cause I miss you, babe. And I don't wanna miss a thing. I don't know how many people in the chat who are actually paying attention are actually playing Palworld versus like just like watching other people play Palworld.
Yeah, it is genuinely an interesting thing to think. It's just like it's a very popular game. I would not be surprised if a lot of people are playing it,
Yeah.
especially if they had a.
Basically, one of the things we were talking about is because like as streamers who want to actually make a career out of it and also trying to like focus on this game because we actually really enjoy this game. We want to know like because people who play it, I feel like they're watching because they want to watch somebody else play the game that they're also playing, not necessarily for, the streamers themselves, right? And so that would tell us like, um, what is it? Oh my God, are they just fucking ignoring me? Um, like once the hype of Palworld dies down, how can we, or what is the anticipated like? Are people going to leave because they stopped playing Palworld, or are they going to stay because, they were never here for Palworld to begin with? That kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a curiosity thing.
Yeah, it's just curiosity. Definitely more of a supporter over a game watcher. Okay, okay.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a mix. There's definitely going to be some people who.
There are definitely going to be some people who are like, I'm here for the game, but I like, It's just because like I met you because I like this game, but also I like you for you, you know.
And that they might become supporters. They might. Oh, Hika.
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 Hi,
Thank
Hika.
you for the raid.
Ooh, there's a foxicle over here. I can go do that.
No, Hika.
I don't even have to travel
Okay,
for
no.
that one.
Oh,
What the frick?
that is apparently
Oh.
an out of bounds area. What?
You tried to go to out of bounds area. It froze my character.
I.
Oh, my
Okay,
timer was
okay. You okay?
starting.
Are you unfrozen now?
Yeah, I'm good. It was just for a second.
Okay. I got hit. Oh no. How you doing, Hika? What were you streaming? I saw you
TCG.
streaming earlier.
TCG. That's my guess. Is it TCG? Was it TCG? I bet. That's fine. I put $2 on it.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Hika.
Damn it, I was
Spyro.
wrong. I owe Tristan $2. Tristan, can you get $2 out of my bank account?
Okay, it's in my bank account now. The joys of a joint bank account. Your $2 is my $2.
So cute. Oh my god.
Did you enjoy Spyroing? Spyro is I don't know if they've remade Spyro. The only Spyro I've heard of is like the PlayStation Spyro, like the OG PlayStation.
I played Spyro on the Game Boy.
Oh,
The Game Boy SP. Yeah, that's right. Not Game Boy DS, the Game Boy SP.
SP. I think that's gonna be. Oh yeah, but I definitely didn't need this. Almost have Riptos Rage completed, and yes, it's the
Reignited.
kind of. My brain just didn't want to compute that word.
Hey, watch how delayed my face is. I'm gonna nod my head right now.
The face is delayed.
Yeah. I'm gonna see if it's a V-Bridger. Probably is. Mama, 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 mama. Yeah, it is.
Oh.
Disconnect
Yeah, typically is V-Bridger
or
when your face gets
disconnect.
delayed,
Mama, mama.
and you're not experiencing massive lag.
Connect the phone. Mama, 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 mama. Connect the face. Ba, ba, da, ba, da, ba, da. Yep, now we're good.
I never played Spyro much. I played it at like a friend's house.
It's still a little bit delayed, but you know.
But any time we played Spyro, we it got reset each time.
I got trouble when I went to go play Spyro.
Oh,
I told you that story.
yes, you did.
What
Yes.
do you wanna regale my story of my Spyro tales?
No, because I don't remember it well enough to regale Gale. I remember you telling me about it.
Basically, so I had Fire Emblem for the Game Boy SP that I was gifted, and I was playing it, but I didn't really enjoy it, and I wound up trading it to somebody who would rather have Fire Emblem, and I wound up trading it for Spyro, but because it was gifted it, I got in trouble for trading it away.
Oh yes, yes, it was a trade. What? What's going on? Huh? Oh my God, they're putting everything in here.
What?
Um, my base pals are starving. Where are they? I swear I. Oh wait, no, it's all going in the fridge. Hang on. I could solve this problem. No, not that. There we go. Minestrone.
Ooh, Japanese style hot spring.
temporarily solve the problem by putting these.
You say Game Boy SP. Guess what my first Nintendo console on the handheld was? Wii for console, 3DS for handheld. Yeah, Game Boy SP was not my first Game Boy. Game Boy Color was my first Game Boy. No, it wasn't. I lied. It wasn't Game Boy Color. Because I remember having the one that was like green and black. It didn't have a backlight. So they would have external things that would have like you could clamp it over your Game Boy and it would magnify the screen because it was so tiny and it would add a light to it. So it was like a little flashlight.
Oh.
Also, I didn't need a memory card for Classic Spyro. Oh, you bitch. Whatever.
I really should have been using these remedies. I
Ah,
thought these
fuck.
were pals. Actually, no, I completely forgot about those remedies. I know the fruits are for pals. Dang. I had a bunch of remedies I could use to permanently increase my stats.
Yep.
My first handheld was the Game Boy Advance, although I did play the Game Boy Color.
Advanced, that's the one. Was it?
Hmm?
Can't remember if Game Boy Advance was in color or not. Whatever the Game Boy was that I had, it was not color. But it also wasn't clear.
It was probably the
I
my Game
played
Advance.
We had Pokemon Red and Yellow on it.
You played the Pokemons.
Yeah.
Red and yellow. Yeah, probably the Game Boy Advanced.
Not first.
I did play on a Game Boy Color because my siblings had that.
Yeah. That was how many? Did you tell me how many? Oh, I'm done with those. Okay. Get over here. Nope, got a Wumpo over here. All right, let's go this way. How many technology points do we have? Okay, let's go ahead and unlock this because we're going to want that as soon as we can. We can't do it. We can't make it right now, but we can unlock it. The Hexalite mine.
Oh yes, the Hexalite Mine. I've got that unlocked as well, but I just
Yeah, you can't make it yet.
be a while before we can make that.
Hexalite before we can make that.
Yep. Which it's Hexalite Quartz, I think, as well.
Yeah, it's easy to find in Fabreg.
Oh, that's in Daybreak? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea which region it was in.
Oh, there it is. I forgot I could fly. I've just been running everywhere. Which I haven't had a problem with doing because it's like I'm running into pals that I need to tame, but like this next one's pretty far away. So, well, far away for on foot. Your first ever game was Minecraft Pocket Edition on your mom's old iPhone 4S. Oh my god, Minecraft had not even been conceived whenever I started playing Minecraft. Or whenever I was born.
Same. I was conceived pre-Minecraft era. I think that's all there is done now. Just need to do the Japanese style.
Basically, you guys see the little symbol over here where if I look at the land ball, there's a little yellow, like chest looking symbol next to it. That means that I've caught 5 of them. If there's a little chest there like this with the chickadees where that's white, that means I've caught at least 1, right? But it means that it doesn't mean that I've caught 5 of them yet. And also, yes, the number is 5 now and not 12. It used to be 12. I've caught 4 chickadees. Born before Minecraft existed, just 2 years before. Yeah. My baby sister is older than you.
Ooh, I can get that. I can do that. Ooh, nice. Interesting. So there's this spot here that always annoyed me because I couldn't fully enclose it.
Yeah.
Because there's a rock here. But if you place a diagonal,
Yep.
and then replace that with a wall.
Yep. I found that tip before, and that was what I was using to do my test workshop build. I love that
Ooh,
tip. It's fucking great.
that is that's the joy of you you actually looking at things beforehand.
Oh yeah,
Whereas I just
figured it out.
yeah, I very much didn't do any preparation.
Well, you say that as if I didn't build 16 variants of some workshop that never got used.
I'm proud of your variants.
I didn't even like any of them.
Yeah, but you're testing things and you
Yeah.
just realize that you didn't like them rather than waiting until you tested them now.
Yeah. Well, I still have to test them because what if I don't like them now? But I don't know. I think I'm just putting a lot more thought into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why I'm not like super rushing or whatever. Get in my ball and stay in there, you fucking whore.
You're not a super Russian? Oh my god.
Thank you.
Tell me why you do the rumbly?
Please be a boy.
Ancient civilization called plasteel. Okay, I'm gonna need plasteel for more research in that. Dazzy clouds. Okay, once I get past
Okay,
that,
Leafan is absolutely not going to be on my fighter team. Like, cutie pie,
At
absolute cutie
underscore
pie, but
underscore Simzord said,
she's
fun
not
fact,
strong.
dinosaurs are older than grass.
you could have a full team of hamsters.
It could just be because a grass type issue, because grass types aren't typically very, very strong. The hamsters are grass type.
Fun fact, dinosaurs are older than grass. Yes, they are.
I didn't know that. But to be fair, it's not something I considered.
The foliage was just like megafauna.
Oh,
Megaflora back then, so it was like a bunch of really big like ferns and shit like that.
I
So
see.
um there wasn't exactly enough light for modern grass.
I see. Makes sense then. I think I shot a tree.
Heat resistant metal armor schematic. I do like the how you can tell if you haven't got the schematic from the schematic towers because it has a glowy beam above
Yep.
it, even if it's open.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice. Gonna make it easier when I go back and get them all.
Get in the ball. Stay in the ball. You fucking hope.
No.
Damn.
Ooh, yes, that's it. I think I do need to catch some more.
I
Makes sense.
underscore M underscore
breeding.
Simslord said, fun fact, Cleopatra's death was closer to the invention of the iPhone than to the when the pyramids of Giza were built.
I missed. Oh no. You can run, but you can't live outside of that ball.
It's saving these chickens' lives. All right, that's level 55, which I probably could do. I just don't know if I want to right now.
Fun fact,
I could probably do
Cleopatra's
it.
death was closer to the invention of the iPhone than to when the
Pyramids of Giza.
pyramids of Gaza were Giza were not Gaza, Giza. Yes, yeah. In fact, archaeology was invented in Egypt, and it was on themselves, I think. Yeah, they had archaeology was pretty big in Egypt because they were just still investigating how old Egypt was. Rampage and dig toys, huh? Stuff. I'll hit it with a fireball. I might kill it in one hit. Nope, I hit a tree. Nightmare ball then. What am I hitting? Oh, fine, I'll just rush you a bit. Don't hit me with a laser beam, I'm allergic. Oh, tacos.
Nice. I got a
Thank you.
Jorman Tide.
Oh, nice!
I'm gonna drop these onion seeds on the ground because I don't need those.
Yo. That does kill it in one hit.
Let's go to the workshop and drop off Doryville crap.
Stuff I'm gonna do with this structure. I haven't done any of these structures yet. I wonder if I could just...
I underscore M underscore Simslord said, fun
Yep.
fact, elephants think us humans are cute the same way we think dogs and cats are cute.
I can just do a
That one I
fucking
did know then. Since I
Hydra laser through a wall and kill all the syndicate people.
was
mine the base. No, I can't break anything. Oh, I could probably. Yeah. Get this chest. I go upstairs. Oh my god, they got a gun. Showing the pointy end. Oh, never mind.
What?
I was fighting two syndicate people,
Mm-hmm.
and then I pulled out my sword, went to whack him, and then a hydro laser just come through the floor. My Azarobe is just going nuts. Do I do something with this?
Let us open up this treasure map. Oh, yesterday I caught a gilded Dumud while you're in the bathroom.
What?
A Dumud guild.
Oh,
The
what
gold
what is?
one.
Oh, what element is the guild? Is it like ground? No, that's terra. Guild. Oh,
Let's find out.
that might be normal.
It is groundwater, but it's not changed. It's not different.
Oh, it's just the special, like a shiny.
Yes.
Give me your clouds, daddies.
Thursday. Dream.
Fun fact: elephants think us humans are cute the same way we think dogs and cats are cute. That is interesting.
That is very true. Very
I
true.
love that. Yeah.
I'm gonna go keep an eye on the. I'm gonna take a small. I would say small break. That's not what I'm doing. I'm taking a small break from fighting boss pals. I'm gonna look at the breeding, seeing what's going on there. And then also I need to. Oh shit! I put my arrows away. Did not mean to do that. I need those arrows. I need to put those on the exclusion list.
I_M_Simslord said fun fact, cheetahs are very chill towards humans. You can literally just be near one and it would go up to you and lay down on your lap looking to be pet. They also meow and purr like normal house cats.
Yeah,
The
I was
reason why
watching
they're
a
so
video
chill
about
around us
those.
is because we're not tasty to them, and also they're not built for killing. They're
Huh.
built for chasing prey until the thing they're chasing passes out from
They also
exhaustion.
meow and purr like normal house
Oh yeah.
cat. Reason was so they're not tasty to them, and they're also they're not built for killing. They're built for
Ooh, I have a huge item here.
exhausting their prey. I mean, not
He just
exhausting.
said that. He just said that. You're
There's a
explaining what he
difference
just
between
said.
all the thing there. Yeah, it's the same sort of way humans hunt. Humans are built for long distance exhaustion.
Hmm. Okay. I'm gonna look something up while I am here. I'm gonna go ahead and just stare at these fox. There you go. You guys can see those. And I'm going
I
to.
believe cheetahs also have one of the highest failure rate for hunting as well. Because cheetahs are are sprinters. Cheetahs are not built for long distance, even though they kill their prey by exhausting them. Or not necessarily exhausting, but like they can hit small things really hard and with their speed and kill them. But big things they just are not built to take on at all. I think they have a 70-ish% failure rate for hunting. Yeah. Yeah, they're like the wolves from Lord of the Rings. Incredibly fast in short bursts. They're natural sprinters. And humans also have like never really seen cheetahs as a source of food because they're not really to us. There's so many other better things that we could happily catch, and it's just easier to catch. Actually, it's not really necessarily that cheetahs aren't easy for us to catch. It's more that like because they're so small and lean, they don't really have any good viable meat. Whereas we could just exhaust, like I don't know,
Okay, do you mind if I close the game temporarily?
I do not
We
mind.
can chat and everything. I just want to try and move the game files from my hard drive to my NVMe.
You just want to. Okay, yeah,
I
yeah.
think it will help a lot when it comes to loading screens and stuff and lag. It's not going to be perfect, but it should help a lot.
Yeah. You are more than welcome to.
Okay. Are you in a safe spot?
I am in a safe spot.
Okay.
I got enough of the Desi clouds as well that I needed.
And I'm trying. I googled how to fix it. Also, because like hoping that it will help with my face delay issue.
Yeah, probably will.
Mm. This really quick. This. Disconnect my face. Connect face. There you go. Back to normal.
Yeah, a lot of the prey that
Na na na.
cheetahs
Na
get
na na.
is basically they have one good sprint at it,
Na na na. Okay.
and if they miss, they just give up.
Close this app on my phone.
And a lot of the prey cheetahs go after are built for evasion and jumping really hard. I will be back. I need to go to the bathroom.
Okay, moving HDMAs. Okay, let's see. It says the best way to do it is by going to Steam, settings, storage. I'm just gonna go to this screen right here. Because, oh, that's not, oh. Just gonna do next, now I guess people come and I'll be able to say words. I know words. Okay. So, over here. And so how you guys doing? Steam settings, storage, and then click add a drive button. Add drive. Choose another location. Hold on, let me check. Which one's my NVMe? D is my NVMe. It's not on here, so let's add. Yeah. Steam library folder is not writable. Add. It says, okay, hold on. Ask, because I don't know these things. It says Steam library folder is not writable. Steam doesn't have permission to write to the destination folder if the destination folder isn't created correctly. Here are the most common fixes. Repair the Steam library. Open Steam. Go to Settings Store. Click 3 dots next to Destination Drive. Click Repair Library. Okay. Repair Library? Yes.
I love you.
Also, back in prehistoric times, there wasn't a point in catching cheetahs. They're so fast and they're good hiders. Back then, we'd actually aim for using as much as the animal as possible so nothing goes to waste. Cheetah hide is too thick for the weather of the... Yeah. Okay, so that's done. Let's go add drive.
Yeah, this was never
Add
any
drive. Add. Steam
in
folder is
hunting.
mine. I'm trying to add the drive. Okay, open File Explorer, right-click the drive, Properties. Okay, let's see. Properties, and then make sure it isn't write protected. I don't figure that out.
Yeah, if we were to
Try creating a trace
domesticate
folder.
like a big cat, it would be cheated.
Folder.
Even though they're like
Okay.
the smallest of the big cats, it would be their just nature would make it easy.
Completely exit Steam, right-click the Steam shortcut, choose Run as Administrator, try moving the game again. Okay. Let's try that. Close all windows.
While you're doing this, I'll go to the just chatting screen.
Exit. Yeah.
Chat.
Maybe.
I don't know if raccoons are, but foxes are. I wouldn't be surprised if raccoons are. There's a lot of people who like feeding raccoons.
No, they're eating it out of the trash. Well, I guess some people do eat it. Some people.
Some people's homes are trash, so of course they want to go in.
Oh my gosh. So rude. I loaded it up. The administrator. Yeah, just keep chatting. It's fine. Okay. Okay, so
Another reason why cats are better than dogs is because cats domesticate themselves. They're like, oh, I'll go be with this person. Whereas we had to take wolf pups. And we domesticated dogs.
install folder to NVMe. Moving content for Palworld.
Nice.
It's taking a minute. Honestly, I should probably do the same for VBirder too. You think?
Yes, I believe so. I believe
You
dogs
weren't
were.
talking. Okay, so
Huh?
I said I should probably do the same thing for VBirder too. Do you think? What are you eating? I want to try one now.
Yeah, you could do the same thing for VBirder. It will require you to close it temporarily, but what do you think?
They're good. What in the world? They do taste like tacos.
There's another packet. I mean, there's more packets down.
Gimme, gimme.
You're stealing them. Take the bag.
I don't know. Oh, okay, you're okay. I don't want the whole bag. Here, I'm gonna put them in my Marie cup. My chip cup. There you go.
Yeah, but we forced them to become our best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas cats were just like, oh, look at these houses. They have small prey creatures in them, like
Mm-hmm.
mice and rats and things. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, my new pet too. Nom, 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 nom. Humans also scared away a lot of predators of cats. So, symbiotic relationship formed.
I'd be scared of a really like befriending a cheetah. Just like I've seen videos and stuff like that of people like cuddling and petting with cheetahs and stuff, right? But like I get scratched from playfully playing with normal sized cats. I don't want to get playfully scratched by accident from a cheetah.
Big cats tend to be more aware of their strength than domesticated house cats.
But if I domesticated a cheetah,
Then it might become less aware of its strength.
yeah. Big dogs think they're tiny dogs and will just sit in your lap.
Mm-hmm.
These chips are good. The fuck? Let's see if I can't find a picture of what the hell I'm eating right now. CC taco chips. Okay, so you guys are aware of what we are currently chomping on. Um,
Best verbal description is
I think it's a verbal description. I just show them the freaking picture of it.
well, that worked well, but yeah.
Look at that. That's what we're eating.
Taco flavored off-brand Doritos.
Can't say no. I did say no, and then I said yes. I have to physically move her off my lap all the time, but she doesn't understand what that means. So she just goes straight to give me belly ribs. It is good. They taste more like Doritos to me than Doritos taste like Doritos to me here. Doritos here taste nasty to me.
To be fair, you tried the weird flavors.
They're extreme cheesy ones. There's like extreme cheesy ones are like our normal standard Dorito, which is fine. It's closer to it at least. And their standard Dorito has nothing on it but salt.
Well, I mean, it's just the original flavor.
No.
If anything says
We
original, it's just
the
salt.
thing is original Doritos in the US are like your extreme cheesy ones. There is no just salt Doritos. Those are just corn chips.
Yeah, but like original is just a flavor here for a bunch of things. If it ever says original, it's just salt and plain.
Hmm. Yeah, we don't have original flavor Doritos.
Yeah. I don't know why it's just labeled as original here, but yeah. It's in a green bag as well. Our standard flavors are original, supreme cheese, and I believe there's a yellow bag that is nacho cheese.
I wanted to try their Thai spicy to see if it was like the sweet and spicy chili Dorito. Is it not?
No,
No.
unfortunately. We don't have the Cool Ranch or sweet and spicy.
I'm gonna move my V-bridger too so that my face can keep up a little bit better, guys. So
Sweet chili, spicy sweet chili. Yeah, we
those
don't have.
sweet spicy chili are fucking all the ones you left or listed are amazing.
We have nacho cheese.
Okay. They also have guacamole here. I'll say that I had guacamole chips in the US when it was a thing, and those were really fucking good. They're not they're not good
They
here.
taste like chemicals here.
Yeah, it's not good here.
My favorite Dorito is the Mexicana Doritos.
Oh wow. V-bridger. Moving V-bridger was super fast. Yeah, sweet and spicy chili Doritos are insanely flavorful. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close my V-bridger.
We need to go to an the American store when Mom's on break. Yeah, Mexicana Doritos. They come in an orange bag, and I would say they're close in flavor to the Taco Doritos, the Taco CCs we just had. Um, it's just like Mexican spice on them.
I wonder if it's gonna be an issue if they're on different folders. Yes, allow.
They're really nice if you yeah, they go well with just like dipping in salsa.
Mm. 25565. Over here.
Yeah, we really need to like we have had the spicy sweet chili and the Cool Ranch Doritos as
Oh shoot,
limited
that was the
edition things
Wi-Fi
here. They
settings,
just
not.
don't do well. Ranch isn't a big thing here.
We did have some ranch the other day when we went to Wendy's.
Yes, yes. It's still in the fridge. There's some ranch dip.
1, 2,
Oh,
4,
you know what I'm craving right now? Trader Joe's Takis. They taste more like Takis than Takis taste like Takis.
2, 4, 1, 2. I've never been a Taki fan, so
We do have Taki branded Takis, but
okay.
I've had them before and they're just like eh. There's so many better options.
Nama nama na. Nama nama na. Nama nama na. Do we need to put it on? I think we might need to put the VBridge or VTube Studio also on the same folder. I'm wondering if that might be where the issue's running into. Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna move VTube Studio over to.
Take your time. If it's having fun chatting.
Mhm.
Um
Yes, I literally had to put out a statement on how you're supposed to package ranch through airport security because so many people were bringing it. I love that. You wouldn't be able to bring ranch here that way because you're not allowed to bring any kind of food.
yeah. Oh, you're allowed to bring packaged food? You can't bring any kind of fresh food,
Oh,
or you're limited in the kind of you can't bring like dried fruits, dried meats, or if you we're one of the most strict countries, if not the most strict country with what you can bring
I'm
food
turning
wise
off
here.
my spout capture temporarily because when I reload this, I don't know how it's going to load up and I don't want to accidentally load up my new model.
Yeah, yeah. Genuinely, one of the best spots for getting ranch here is Subway. It's their
I've
ranch
never
is
been
the
like a
best ranch.
super big ranch person, anyways.
Yeah, yeah. We've got a lot of aiolis here. Um, Aiolis are nice.
Okay, hold on. Here, I'll switch it to this right here. So I'm here. I'm kind of chatting. I'm just in a trash can at the moment.
But yeah, we have a show here called Border Patrol. Um, which is just like our border patrol, our agents that work in customs control things, and basically the most common uh problem that gets every episode, it always happens. It's typically people from China went to visit family and they came back. It's usually older people from China, and they come back with a bunch of snacks because it is a very cultural thing to
Food.
give food as a gift. And they just come back to the airport with like a suitcase full of illegal food that they haven't declared. And yeah, it's just it's it, it's sad, but at the same time, they you really need to check um what you're allowed to bring to countries. A common thing as well, if you're getting a flight to Australia, is they will give you like fruit on the plane, and the flight attendants will give you a warning saying you can't take this through customs. And people just put it in their pocket or their purse or something and forget about it and try and bring it through customs.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and if you declare that you have no food on you and you do that, technically you're smuggling something and you'll get a fine.
Why it didn't say disconnected? Connect. Why is it not connecting? My face is connected, but for some reason it's not connecting to VBridge or VTuber. Yeah. Okay. If I close that and then I load it up through Steam.
Um, oh, and the common thing in Border Patrol is just people trying to smuggle drugs through just good.
What? People don't do drugs, Tristan. Drugs are fake.
But what do I stab you with then?
Fake news.
No. But yeah, it's really interesting seeing how like how they package to try and smuggle drugs through through mail. The sad thing is, they would stop if it wasn't profitable, so some get through somehow. And in enough numbers to the point that they can just write off what gets found as just expense of the drug trade.
Working. It says it's connected, and that pisses me off. Because now it's not connected. But it is connected. But it's not connected. Stop. It's on. It's not working.
I've gotten crumbs in my mouth, and I'm just getting them out. Yeah. Can you just buy food once you're through security? I mean, we've got a bunch of Asian markets here, or whatever. You can buy food here. It's typically just gifts people are bringing. You can even just go. Oh, if you're talking about once you're past security, and you're in the international area, well, in the area where all the stores are through security. Yeah, you could, but at the same time, if you're say buying it from an American airport, you still can't bring it through Australian customs.
Why is it not moving? This I don't fucking understand. It says it's connected. It says active right here. Never mind. I don't know.
It's mostly because we don't have a lot of the dangerous pests and plant-based diseases that a lot of the rest of the world has, and we don't want to get them here, so we're very strict on that. Same with pets. We don't have rabies, so we're extremely strict on pets. Yeah, it's not just because we're being dicks about it. It's literally prevent diseases that aren't in this country from getting here, and pests and things like that. Yeah, we don't have rabies. There is a form of rabies that is only transmissible among bats here. That could eventually theoretically mutate and then be transmissible to humans, but currently it's not. It's also not as dangerous as rabies. But yeah, we don't have rabies. A big scandal was Johnny Depp brought his dogs in his private jet to Australia, and then didn't go through the proper legal process and quarantine them and everything. So the dogs got deported and he got a massive fine. Yeah, his dogs indeed got sent back because, well, they could theoretically quarantine him. He didn't go through the legal process, so they were just like, yeah, no, bye. It is funny. It's not the first time, like, celebrities have acted like they're better than the rest of the world and have privileges while coming to Australia, and then they face the harsh reality of, we don't care. We've got laws, you need to abide by them.
Sorry, I'm trying to see why this isn't working. It's not. Turning off the API, on the API, connect.
Yeah, most of them do think they're above the law. We do have problems of celebrities getting away with stuff that they shouldn't here, but unfortunately, people like them. If they get too harsh of a punishment, then their their fans will go nuts. Yeah. Celebrity fan bases cancelling the Australian government for the laws we've made to protect our country from diseases. I'm gonna bring back up the game screen thingy here, just for anyone that is watching my stream.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I believe that this is Anubis. I do not have an Anubis. And I think this is like an Egyptian themed bird that I don't have. But it could also be the bird that I do have that's my flyer right now.
Hey, my face is showing up here.
And this is Jet Dragon.
The spout's working. That's something. But my body isn't. I didn't even realize my entire model's standing in the middle of the screen. That's how it shows you how fucking professional I am.
Yeah, those are the only three that I'm currently. Two, definitely. Potentially three that I'm missing from the title screen. Oh, and Grisbolt. 4. So, 3 definitely, and then 1 potential. I don't know if I have that bird. Okay, back to the just chatting screen. In the past, that was called Revolutions. While you are figuring things out, I'm gonna take. We've got a stockpile of bottles and cans. I'm gonna take down.
Okay. I'm gonna just like, I don't know.
Take the snacks out of this bag, so I'll put it in the bag.
I'm just gonna put a little thing up here. Note.
do still have 2 cans of mustard as this. But whenever I order them.
There we go. Okay, that's good. I would like that when I'm done with this bullshit. Okay, I'll show you what I'm dealing with here, okay? So you see that my V-bridger is picking up my face.
Yep.
This isn't working for some reason though. It's not connecting over here. It says it's connected.
Is it? Oh, it could be.
If I look here, it's active. I could remove permissions. Okay, so now it's not on there, right? And then I disconnect it, and then I reconnect it. And when I do, it says wants to access it, so I give it permissions. It is on here, but it's not doing anything.
I remember we had some issue with this.
Is it connecting to your VTube studio?
I mean, I don't have it open, but it possibly is because we're on the same.
Yeah, okay, so, okay, hold on. So if I disconnect this, because it says 2 is available.
Yes.
So what if we do that instead?
Yeah, it'll be connected to potentially mine.
Right? Here is what I'm used to.
The bottles around that are empty. No. Cool.
How do I find? Da-da-da. Okay, yeah, that's where it should be connecting to, but it's not. Okay, remove plugins. Try this again. Disconnect. Oh, gotta reload the model. Disconnected. If I go to, hold on, Lumia. And I can see if this works. Cannot allow. It says disconnected. It should not be disconnected. It should be connected now. Now, if this works, if I test this, see, that works. That works. So that means that Lumia is connected to it fine.
Oh, hello, Al.
Meow.
Oh, you're right. I am a little bit tired of being upside down. Hang on.
Closed V-bridger. Okay, launch VTuber again.
And
Yeah, it's true. True.
there we go. Perfection. I'm no longer upside down. Oh, why am I lower here? Oh no.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, no.
So basically what happened was, it's not morning. It is, well, it's 1 p.m. I was doing fine. I decided to swap folders because I was like, oh, well, it'll go faster, right? And theoretically, my face is being caught up fine. It's just not.
You got it?
No.
No? Okay. I'm going to load up my VTuber studio as well, just to see if it is connecting to mine and if I can disconnect it from mine somehow.
I'm trying to load it up, not on.
It is afternoon. It is almost 1 p.m. How are you doing now? I go back to just chatting.
Okay, I'm going to type this in and see if this. When I load up VTube Studio, not on Steam, using Steam.start without team.bat.
Whoa.
It says failed to write log. Make sure VTube Studio has write permission. You might have to restart VTube Studio as an wouldn't say this if I load through Steam, and I think this might be causing issues. Okay, so if I close this
It's relaxing pretty late over here. Oh,
as an administrator,
yeah.
yes,
Mm,
it as an administrator.
glad you're having some nice relaxing. Okay, so if I go. Okay, this will tell me if. Oh, here's some of the. Oh, you got the second. You didn't get first. Oh no. Mm, mm, mm. My brain is still on Eastern time, though. It's 8 p.m. PST, and I'm usually not too tired at 8 p.m., but it's 1 p.m. EST. Oh. Um, oh yeah, you're on holiday, aren't you? Oh, it's almost over. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's the noticeable jet lag. It's just a few hours difference. When my sister comes over from Western Australia, she's the same way. The 3-hour time zone difference. And do you want me to disconnect my my V-Bridger?
Hmm? What?
Do you want me to disconnect my V-Bridger
No,
while
no,
you're
no,
doing
no,
it?
no. Change it. Says
No.
I don't have permission.
Phone, advanced lip sync.
Properties. Security.
Yeah. Don't have premium, I can't use that. So then okay.
Just username.
I didn't break anything, Nat.
Was me. I mean, it was me. Sorry. My bad.
Aiko moved the game and then her V-Bridger broke. So it's not tracking her face properly, unfortunately.
Type your Windows username, click names. Okay. Change. Change.
Oh no. It is very much an oh no.
Check. Object name to select example. ID name is.
Enjoy your lurk, Sims.
Okay,
I need to
advanced
set up
owner change. Type your
command.
Windows username. Okay.
Exclamation. What's the bot I have that manages that?
How do I find my Windows username?
Nightbot. Yeah, that's through Nightbot.
Okay.
Wait, no, I don't need Nightbot. It's Suribot. Do I have Suribot? I do have Suribot. Okay, so I can turn commands on. Okay.
Thank you guys for being patient. It means a lot.
Yeah, thank you for hanging out and being patient. Scuff just happened. Do I have stream elements? Okay.
Okay, I'll try that really quick. Yeah, your number, your last four are 8002. Mine's 2412 or something.
If I go to
Oh, no, I don't want that.
chat commands. I want to see if this works. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, that doesn't. If I do it in. No, it doesn't work if I do it in your chat either.
So confused. But if I do Lumia, hold on.
Weird. Okay. Maybe I need Nightbot commands. What if I do it here?
You should.
Yeah, that doesn't work either. Oh no, it does work on
What if I just load them up normally?
YouTube. Okay, so it's set up to only work on YouTube.
Oops, daisy.
Okay, elements dashboard. Go back here. And then go to
I just wanted to try. I just wanted this to run better. That's all I wanted.
channels.
Wow.
Okay. Okay.
Nothing changes when I connect with you. I can see that. Mm.
Okay, so it should work. Interesting. Okay, so chatbot, chat commands. Oh, interesting. Okay, I see what's going on. Okay, it's got a different menu command. Join. We're just doing some troubleshooting stuff right now for both of us, which is nice.
Studio setting. Mm. Going to kill VTube Studio init through Task Manager. Kill that. But I'll just kill Steam all the way.
Then chatbot, chat commands, menu command, exclamation mark.
Okay. I want to load up Steam as an administrator. VTuber Studio. Okay. I'm gonna load up VBridger. Connect the phone. Connect the vape. No? Why? Verifying the integrity of the game files for VTube Studio.
Oh yes, some files might have broken when you went. Okay.
Five files failed to validate and will be reacquired. Okay. See if that fixes it.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. Still not working. Ugh. If I do the same thing for VBridger. Verify integrity of game files. All are validated. What if we move it back to what if I just move it back? Moving content for the following apps has failed because the folder already exists. Could be causing issues.
Mhm.
Folder or file is open in a different program. What do you mean? Can't be completed because the folder or file is open in another program. It's not though. I'm so confused. If I just like
Okay. Okay, cool.
where did the
Welcome to the jungle.
properties, security. Thank you guys for being patient again. I'm sorry. Scuff stuff. Did I not move Weebridger to the new folder?
How did I manage to flip this?
The jungle.
No, that's not a good color.
Properties. Installed files.
That would
Okay.
be visible.
Backup software files to. I'm going to back up these files and uninstall and reinstall it.
Mm. How do you get the black box thingy on your technical difficulties thing? Is that just a different source, different layer?
Oh, no, it's there's an opacity slider thingy. So like underneath color, it says background and it's all black, and then I just increase the slider. Let's see what there is. I don't know. Doesn't look like nothing to me, but I'm assuming it looks like something to VTube Studio or VBridger. General. So if I now take this and manage, uninstall. I might be breaking everything. I'm uninstalling VTube Studio. And now I'm going to reinstall VTube Studio. Oops, I find it. Install it on this drive.
Uh, I don't see that color thing, is it? Is it a filter?
No.
No?
See how the box.
Oh my god, I didn't scroll. I didn't scroll. No.
Now it's validating.
There we go.
I just want this to work. Basically, because if I can't get this to work, our debut is gonna suck ass.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Oops.
It's a necessity at this point.
Ooh. Don't want it back there. Oh, no. Everything. There we go. And just make that visible or invisible. Hey, honey.
It's okay. No. Gross. I opened my mouth and showed him my chewed up food. And he's like, yummy.
Yummy wink. I want to break free. Yeah, break free around the world.
I don't understand. Like,
What I could do? I'm gonna read some manga that I haven't been reading because I've been playing the game for ages.
it's fine. I'm just like,
Mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. I wish I could help.
no, I know. I don't know why it's not working because it's not. The face data is coming through. But technically my parameters aren't here. So what would it be sending? It might be a VBridger issue, maybe. Because literally no parameters are showing up on VBridger.
Interesting. Oh.
I got a property here, updates.
Oh my god. uh, I'm getting blamed. Oh my god. I accept blame. I accept the blame. I need to speak less loud. It's basically Aiko was transferring the files to.
It literally just didn't have any of the shit loaded. I literally just clicked load and loaded the settings.
Oh, it didn't have any parameters loaded because it wasn't saved. Okay. At
This
least it wasn't.
entire area was fucking blank.
Okay. I'm glad it wasn't anything.
I just had to load it from the save. Oh.
It just didn't have the save.
That's what happens. Complications. Shits happens whenever you're moving folders, okay? Now we're gonna have to find out if Palworld's fucking broken. Hopefully not. Actually, let's find out. Test the head pat. No, not working because we have to enable it again. We have to reconnect VTube Studio. Touch points and then hit it. Hit it. Perfect. Okay. Okay. We're getting somewhere. I promise I haven't been just sitting here with my thumb up my ass. I have actually been doing things. You have been. This is, yes, this is 100% Tristan's fault because in my single player world, I didn't have any lag. Okay. So
Yeah.
Tristan joining me to play is, caused all the issues.
Mm-hmm. It's not my fault.
How's everything? Oh, shut up. All right, we're gonna find out if. Face. Nope, not that one. There we go. But I have to pee, so I'll be back.
Go, my love. But yeah, it's all my fault for having lag. No, it's just. I think even in a single player world, lag would have gotten bad with the amount of pals we have in our bases.
VBridger was picking up the face data,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And it was
And
just
it was registering the face data. But basically, that entire box section in the middle is
Yeah.
like, here's the information from the space data you're sending us that we're going to send to VTuber Studio. But it was blank.
We had nothing. We're collecting your data and doing nothing with it.
Yeah. Now we Oh no, yeah, that was an echo because I was standing up. That's why.
Yeah, no, I was back a bit.
No, it's fine. It's fine, Brando. I appreciate you stopping by anyways. Alright, let's see. Game I'm playing.
I hope you have a very excellent sleep. We will probably still be live by the time you wake up, but yeah. We do exist in the same room, Natalie, so of course there might be echo if we're picking up on both of the
Yeah,
mics.
duh.
Yeah. Why don't you know that we just can't get away from each other? We don't want to.
I'm trying to click game that we're playing window. Oh. My game is loaded. You can hear the game. You just can't see the game. Why? God damn it. What the fuck's wrong now?
Just fingers crossed anyway, Brando. I hope you get good sleep, even if it's unlikely. It's happened a few times, but yeah, I don't think you've been here much when it has happened. Nah. You. Oh, it's Monday. School holidays are over, right? Kids are at school now?
I'm trying to see if. Nope, that's wrong. That's. Why is this? It hears it, but you just don't see it. Why? I'm gonna close this game. I'm gonna reload the game. Properties. The issue now is that, like, for some reason it's not showing up on OBS.
The game?
Yeah.
Oh, the.
It's just tons of problems. That's all it is. No, it's just never happened
Oh,
with
if you
OBS.
change the file location, it might change the where it's pulling something from for the screen capture. I don't know. It shouldn't, but it might. I don't know. Okay, I'll be back in a moment. I need to pee.
Okie dokie. It can hear it, it just can't see it. What the fuck? Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna end the stream really quick.